Oh, shoot. Okay. Hold on one second. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. So, as we're doing this, remember composition makes up a whole lot of stuff. And what we're also trying to do is to tell a story. So, and a lot of times it takes a lot of iterative process to go through and get things done. But remember, when you're doing your composition and your layout, you should be looking at and considering your product placement, utilization of the color, whether it be in the lights, in the background, props, whatever, your camera angle, additional props, what are your lighting saying? Are you communicating motion? What is your negative space? Utilizing reflections. All these things are elements that can be placed within your renderings to create your composition. So we've kind of gone through and we've talked about what are we trying to achieve with our renderings. And when I say trying to achieve, what are we trying to communicate? Are we trying to communicate that this product is strong and durable? That's what the design is. The design looks strong and durable. So how do we communicate that in the rendering if we're going to do something different? Is it sleek and elegant? We always have to keep in mind, what is the story that we're telling? And the reason that I wanted you guys to use one product is to show you that one product can be told in different ways. So what I also want to do is kind of walk through each boards, and I'm going to pull out some of the things that aren't working and that are working. And then we can talk specifically to the boards of the people that are here. And then Josh, I definitely want you to toss in your 2 cents worth. Because again, it's not about, ooh, the rendering looks good. It's about what are we telling with the story. So, who's here? So, Josh, do you have any comments that you want to say about, when doing renderings and, communicating a story or the overall project is the composition? Do you have anything you want to add or thoughts? We can't hear you, Josh. Okay, Josh is having technical difficulties, so he's getting angry. We don't like Josh when he's angry. Okay, so a couple things that I noticed that are common that I'm seeing throughout is the use of the product just floating in space and, sitting in the middle of the page. Now, if we look at the reference image, again, what makes this reference image look good? What makes it say it's strong and it's powerful? Well, the camera angle, where it's right there, it's bold, it's facing you. The purple with the hint of purple down in the back provides that, we talked about color being royal and elegant and luxurious. But it is overall, it's quite well lit. It really makes it pop. What's going on, Fabian? I think you have us muted. I don't know how I unmute you. How do I have you muted? No, because you could all talk to me before. Everyone can hear me on the call. Well, let me see if my volume's turned down. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now, Josh?
Hold on, let's turn that off. There we go.
I was like, there's no way. There's reverb in the room, so I was like, I can hear myself twice.
Okay. Let me just finish off this thought, Josh, and then I'll have you pipe in. So if we look here, it's great to have that coloring in there, but overall the product lighting, it's kind of muted and it blends in. You know, there's not a very large contrast, where again, here you can see that contrast, you know, and the pop. Now that's also the materials, but that's not to say that the lighting for this couldn't make it pop a little bit better. You know, if we take a look at, so here's a quick one that I did up as an example for Zach to look at. You know, still getting that splash of color in, still getting that black background. Maybe this could be lit up a little bit better in here, but we've got something that's a little bit more bold. It's a little bit more powerful because of this front head. He did try to simulate, which he did a really good job here. But let's talk about what maybe doesn't really work here. Part of that is, I think this is the reflection. It looks like two units sitting on top of each other. Doesn't really tell much of a story. Where he's got the highlight back here versus having it in the forefront. You know, getting that highlight in the forefront. I would have to personally say that this camera angle is not overly dramatic versus something more like this. And then, Goofer, you tell me, but for me, this is back from when I used to do automotive renderings. This long side profile looking down at the back, this is the sex appeal in the front. You know, that creates a much more dynamic look and feel, especially with these curves, than something where it's kind of a standard engineering 3/4 perspective or isometric view. What are your thoughts on what I'm saying there, Josh?
You know?
You can't hear me, Josh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Alright, perfect. Well, overall, I mean, because rendering has always been fun for me, so always having lighting and aesthetics is always important, especially grabbing certain curves on models and stuff like this. Especially, this is a great example. I'm not a key fan of black backgrounds because I have, like, to be a devil's advocate, I use a lot of black backgrounds, especially for like my Delta faucet, and that kind of black on black material is not very appropriate, I would say, because it's hard to see, especially when it's printed out. But for this example, for this racer, he did a really nice job just capturing kind of like the curves and the overall sheer amount of lighting on the details for that metal finish. But yeah, for me, I stay away from black backgrounds.
And just to build on that, you made a very valuable comment there. You know, black on black doesn't show up on print. We always have to keep in mind, how are our images being used? Is it going to be in print? You know, is it going to be on the web? You know, that's also going to play a lot of stuff on how it views. I remember one of my biggest struggles is you would have people looking at renderings to approve them, and they'd be like, well, this doesn't look right. And it's like, well, you're looking at it on a rinky-dinky monitor that's tilted down. So I'm going to say here, Zach did a great job of mimicking what's going on here, but, and again, this shows up in a few of them, and we'll talk about that. These become three separate items. They're not interacting, they're not communicating in any way, shape, or form. How do you tie that together? You can see here, part of that is the overlap. You know, part of that is the depth of field. So it allows your focus still to be here, but then these are in the background, but if they were to overlap, it doesn't mean you have to duplicate it exactly, but if you're going to have more than one thing in your scene, how is it going to relate to the other? Now, I had challenged him, or I told him, like, hey, adding the water is really what ties some of this together or helps give it that pop. Wherein he did a great job of putting that water in, but I think the depth of field is going to help greatly so that they're not all just fighting with each other.
Have you showed them the blur tool?
Yes.
Like the
Depth of field?
there's some key shots.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
they've seen that, and there's a couple that have used it. I think it's more, and I'll reinforce that when you guys look at your renderings, you should each be walking through and saying, what does have I played with my product placement? Have I utilized color? Have I changed the camera angle? Have I done lighting? Have I done these things? You guys should be, walking through this checklist, because right now it's not second nature for you. So let's look at another one here, and I want to point out some of the positives, but I don't want to miss the opportunities to show you guys what I'm referring to some of these things. Here we go. So is Mac here? Mac's not here. So here we can see that we've got props, but we got to remember that we want to use a balance of negative space and positive space and utilize that white space. Here where we've got this centered, this doesn't really read all that well. We're not quite sure what it even is. It kind of looks like a Game Boy. How does it tie together? Where we've got this up on top, and I'll show you guys another time on how to do proper wood grain and that, so that the wood grain looks right up there. But, the color is nice, but if we look over here, part of what makes these colors pop is that the product is the yellow, then you've got the blue and the blue, or here where you've got the vibrant colors. But over here, we're kind of missing that. This here, the prop, we'll call it, the stand, becomes very distracting. And again, this part over here, it doesn't speak to it. It doesn't communicate with what's in the scene. How does this enhance the scene? The lipstick and the lip mark on there, they tie together because that's the logo. This is going for very much of an 80s style with the grid pattern, and even down in here, the way they've got the multiple products in there, they play with each other. You can see that the spacing is close enough that they relate to each other. They're not so far off that they feel like they're individual items on the screen. Anything to add, Josh?
Yeah, I think overall the balance just looks too animated and not realistic, and I think she was just playing way too much with color.
Yeah.
Just proportionately, it's all off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say just play with more camera views. There's a lot of tools out there.
And this is something that we talked about before, everyone. Like, remember the process, okay? Get your product in there. Get your product placed the way that you want it. That you want to take that view, and then get that camera angle set up. Then comes the lighting. So you're going to have a vision for how you're going to place the product or what it's going to be like. So for example, in here, they had a vision. We're going to have the bottle, we're going to have some oranges around it, we're going to have some ice and stuff like that. And then what they do is they lay this out. Then they're going to set up their camera shot. We want a straight down camera shot. Okay, next, now we're going to add the lighting that's going to accentuate our camera shot. You know, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, where when in key shot, you know, if we're going to have a camera, that's going to be our camera shot. And we're going to save that, and that's going to be the one that we always come back to. I may move things around to play with my lighting, but it's always going to be about that camera shot. So we want to make sure we kind of take a chronological approach or a methodical approach. And again, we can see here how everything is interacting. All the props are interacting with the product. Don't be afraid to have things overlap. I see a lot of this, the product has to be on its own. Have it overlap. Have it look like it's falling off the page. Look at here, they don't have it zoomed all the way out so you can see absolutely everything. It's fine to have some things cut off. You can see how, you know, now I would challenge if this bean was like that, that doesn't feel natural because it feels awkward that it's cut off like that. Or if this was cut off like that, it doesn't feel natural to me. The bread, that feels fine. Up here, things are a little bit more separated, but it's not so far off that you cannot read the Krispy Kreme to the Krispy Kreme with the donut in the background that is blurred. So your eyes are going primary, secondary, tertiary. When I look at this, my eyes follow a path, and that's the path that was determined by the person that set up the shot. You know, so here, I'm kind of liking this camera shot without that being added. You know, why is it being added? How does it tell the story? If Mac was here, these are the things that I would challenge them on, which is, why did you do it? How does it enhance? And any answer, right or wrong, is good, as long as there's some thought behind it. You may have done it for a specific reason, and you may have reason behind it. It just may not work. And that's our job to teach you, to help you understand that. So here, I actually really like this. So we talk about negative space. You know, like it actually looks really nice just off to the side. I struggle with the reflection being a little bit too high. I do like the horizon line. It has intent. You know, I don't know what this is back here. So, but I do like that. Here, I see that they're putting in a placement in there, but all of a sudden now our composition, our layout, you know, what does this plant have to do with this bottle? Where we've got this beautiful showcasing of color, all of a sudden now everything is somewhat muted. So color relationship is very important. The one thing I would challenge is, I know that the model came with the cap on the bottom or setting aside, but what would it look like if that cap was actually on the product? You know, would that be better, tell a better story than it's a squirt thing? Because we all know there's a squirt thing under there. What are we looking at? The beauty of the bottle design. And then also, when we're setting up a story, product name placement is always really important. So it should be bold. So again, I know it's a cliche, and that's kind of what I think, Josh, you were referring to. The cliche is everything has these black backgrounds now. If they want to do sex, it's all black backgrounds. But how would this look, or would it not look better? Let me find it here. If it was more of a straight on. That one, you know, it could go either way, because if you look over here, and we go back to, where'd that just go? There we go. You can see things are turned to slight angles, but I would say that reads a little bit better. So I'm doing a lot of talking before I keep going. Questions from you guys? Oh, Roger, I was trying to convey the words in an image. I thought that was what we were focusing on the most. Mac. Okay, so Mac, are you typing on Roger's? Are we getting? Okay, hold on.
Yes, everything right next to me. Sorry.
Okay, okay. So then let me talk to you, Mac. Sorry, I didn't see you there. So you were. I was trying to convey the words in an image. I thought that's what we're. So yes, that is what we're trying to do. Is your dim, earthy, rich. How is that conveyed in your renderings? You know, here. You know, minimal background, lots of negative space, earthy tones. So we could say green is an earthy tone. How are we, you know, and really, so bold, dynamic, and cheerful. Earthy, rich, I can see. Earthy, I'm not sure how that is a descriptor, but that may just be me not understanding it. But I would say, of all of them, this one would be one is the strongest. Does that make sense? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you know, I want to make sure I understand when you say that you were focusing on the words the most. When you say, yeah, so Mac, I can't understand you. There's so much feedback or reverb going on there for some reason.
Can you hear me?
No. We'll come back to you. Maybe you can hop on one of the other computers. Are we getting Keyshot on the computer lab? So they're still not up there, Zoe?
No, they're not.
God damn it. Okay. Let me make a note.
Yeah, it opens Keyshot 10, and then it says floating license server, unknown error.
Yeah.
Still. So.
No, yeah. So I know exactly what the problem is. Okay. I will pester the young lady again. Okay. Zoe, was that just you talking? Because I could actually understand you a lot better.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So help me understand. When you say, I want to make sure that we're not misaligned. When you say that you're trying to convey the words in an image, what do you mean by that?
Say it again, I couldn't hear you.
So your statement said that you were trying to convey the words in an image, and that's what you thought we were focusing on the most.
I think that was the most.
Okay, you're back to being horribly sounding there. Are you?
That's Mac.
Oh, that's, oh,
Travis, you got people confused.
yeah, I
There's
do.
Zoe and Mac.
No, I do. Whoops.
Yeah,
So
right.
this my keyshot wasn't working. I emailed you the screen recording.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. Yeah, yours is,
That's why I've been in the lab all day, and I came in this morning to try and do it, and it just
yeah.
it,
Your computer unfortunately is not designed for Keyshot.
yeah.
So, we'll, yeah. Well,
Do you
one,
know if I can? I have a PC at home, desktop.
yep.
If I have Keyshot downloaded on my laptop, am I able to use the same license on that?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll do that when I get home.
Yep. And I can walk you through on what you have to do to switch that license.
Okay. Do you have any information on how to get the new SolidWorks? Because my license expired from last year, and I was trying to do it, and it is just absolutely not working. So I was trying to. We're working on our Delta stuff, and I'm doing my CAD, and I was able to do it because I went to the lab, but I can't do it on my computer because I can't get my new license. I
Okay.
bought it and everything. I have the keys. I just can't get it to work.
Yeah, so that's kind of a hard one for me to help you remotely. You can go to Tech Services,
Okay.
and they can help you with that if you're putting it onto your laptop.
Okay.
So, and it should, SolidWorks should run decent on your laptop.
Oh yeah, SolidWorks is great
Yep.
on my laptop. It's awesome, but not so much for Keyshot.
Yeah. Okay, so does anybody have questions what I've talked about so far? The feedback and the comments I've made? Okay, let's dive into individual ones here. So, excuse me, Ross, you saw that I was able to give you some feedback on here.
Yes, I did.
Let's, one, does the feedback make sense?
Yes, I totally agree. The only thing that I would counter on the one that we're looking at right there is I wanted that light in there. I thought it was nice, like very warming, because I was going for that warm approach. But the rest of it, I agree with you on completely.
Okay, so if you're going for that warming approach, the question is how would we achieve that? Because right now, when I read this, it looks as if part of the page is actually cut off because it is so white. If you're going for a warming look, would you have been able to maybe take one of your spotlights or one of your lights and not make it so bold out there, but to add color to your light so that some of your highlights here, like this has a very warming look because it feeds off of there. But what if you changed your light coloring to give it more warmth? You know, so that the scene lights up with a little bit more warmth.
Sure, that makes sense.
Okay. And let's, like, you know, oh, we lost Josh. Josh, so
Yes.
I'm not sure if you heard or not. So I was challenging Ross on this white spotlight here. And, well, why don't you say what you were trying to achieve with it? And then let's get Josh's feedback.
Sure. So I guess what I was hoping for to achieve with that is, I know I've seen it similarly in like magazine images and stuff with like music scenes or whatever, and it's almost like they allow you to feel like you're in this lit up studio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting all crazy feedback. So what I was trying to achieve there was that, yeah, one of those spotlights is kind of falling in there, and then there's almost like, I guess, radiating light or heat to create that warmth.
Yeah.
Was my intention, but I 100% know where Travis is coming from with like the comments he left and how he said it kind of just looks like it's so white that it's cut off part of your image.
Yep. So the way I tackle spotlights and light rays coming from certain areas is adding a backdrop. Backdrops allow for kind of like the surface. Because this just looks like you just used a color on top of the surface,
Yeah.
the surrounding areas. So with backdrops, and I use backdrops like every time I render something because it just allows for lights to reflect off the surfaces easier, and you have more control with your background, I would say.
I'll be back 1 second.
Because you can scale your backdrop however size you want, and then also if you want lights to like bounce off of that surface, it's easier to like kind of manipulate that instead of having it be in like that kind of like bright light situation, if you know what I mean. And I can walk you through it to show you like the best way, because like I showed you for like in 2 minutes how to add like a backdrop and some lights in it, so it doesn't overwhelm your product right here.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yep, absolutely.
Because I can see what you were trying to do, and that's what I did for my first render for my microphones. I think it was your software review that I showed you guys how I had certain lights on certain areas, like it was like here on the top right corner, but it wasn't too harsh. But like I said, we can work on this because I can see where you were going with it, but it's there.
Okay. So one thing I would add too is down here, I love the camera angle. Very nice. I love your lighting. You know, it gives us bold, dramatic, you know, kind of makes it look like it's a monolith. But up here, camera angle, kind of generic. And I'm going to say the same here. If this camera was just tilted so that it wasn't looking straight down and was looking more along the horizon, it may be a little bit nicer. Like, you know, right now it's just kind of static. So I would try to play with that camera positioning on this one.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, and then the one other thing that I found in here, and I don't know what it is, but there feels to be, so I like the fact that we've got that nice, so here, where you're trying to make the other one feel warm, here I feel this feels very nice and cool because of that rim lighting on the back. But I'm getting this weird read that this has a dark spot and then a light spot, so it almost feels muddied over here. I don't know if that's it or if that's my screen. Yeah, because then you got something weird here going on.
I could not figure that out. You are right. There's the way I moved the lights around. There was a dark spot that I left because it allowed the shadow reflection underneath the chairs to stay more visible. But I can definitely see where it does get muddied. That little spot though, I have absolutely no idea what that is or why that's even there.
Huh. And that's something where if you were going in a rush, that's called Photoshop Clone Tool. So again, with the lighting here, you know, and then also every light or every camera is coming from the same direction, you know? What if it was coming in if the camera view was coming from this side? So I think you could play with the cameras a little bit more. But I mean, I love where you're going. What one is taking you the longest to do?
I think the top gold one only because I added in that guitar I was just trying to add a little bit more, to set more of a theme
Mm-hmm.
for it rather than just sticking with the. I mean, the bar stool is the bar stool, and I felt like from the bottom one, which was the first one I did, creating that kind of ominous, intriguing, dark, very kind of bold, dynamic image. It was like, how do I not have be just that one chair now? Because otherwise, I would
Yep.
feel like I'm repeating it. Um, but the guitar, putting that in there for whatever reason, moving it and positioning it, there was
Mm-hmm.
scale issues. The chair, the bar stool, was,
Yep.
I seriously, they were probably 30 times larger than the guitar initially. So playing with the scale the chairs down,
Yeah.
and it just little dumb things, I guess, were
Okay.
what made it take longer.
Okay. So then think about this. So I agree, adding a prop to the scene is good, but it's a very static scene. You got chair, guitar, chair. You know, bold front face. What if this was, like over behind one of the chairs slightly? Or what if it was rotated so it was beside the chair? Like right now, if that was me sitting there playing guitar, it would be closer to one chair and the side of the chair than it would be just right in the middle. So how do we make it more relatable? Again, things can overlap. You know, this could be tucked behind the chair a little bit. Or it's one of those things, is that the right prop? I'm not looking for you to spend time finding different props. It's more about understanding when we have a prop, how do we use it? So, but love where you're going with it. So I think you got some tweaks and changes that you can do before final submission. Let's, Fabian or Goofer, did you have any questions about the critique, the notes that I made for you that you want to talk about?
Honestly, I have some. I've been working on them right now.
Oh, okay, excellent.
I could upload some right now. Let me just finish this one real quick, and then
Yeah.
if I could get some feedback.
Yeah, go right ahead, do that, do that. Oh, Roger, you're here, right. Let's see Roger, where's Roger? I need to put my glasses back on here. Where's Roger? Oh, here we go.
I can't hear you. Yeah, I don't think you can hear me either.
I can hear you, Roger.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Um, okay. So, a couple things. So first off, they're beautiful. Look really nice. Where did you get the watch from?
The the iCloud.
Oh, cool. Okay. So one of the things that we want to make sure that you do, because this is some of the stuff that you're getting graded on, is finding those reference images. If the words that you're using are mysterious, refined, I'm going to say seasonal does not really fall into the classification.
Okay.
But mysterious and refined, what are your reference images that you were utilizing? And how did those reference images, how did they define, mysterious and refined? Does that make sense? So you need to get that stuff up on the board.
Okay. Also, my mic is on.
So now I'm being really nitpicky on you here. So how does this rendering convey daunting?
Well, because like it's underwater, and whenever I think of like submerged, like something submerged, I always think of like dolphins.
Okay, so you used a couple terms there that you think.
I mean, in general, like when people are underwater, like they get anticipation and stuff, you know.
Well,
in general.
So I'm going to say no because anticipation is excitement. It is waiting for something to happen. It can be intimidating, you know. If we look at what the meaning words for daunting, and then if we come and find some images, you know, I mean, here you can see they're telling a story where they're frustrated. It's hard. They're not happy about it. You know, like here, here's an image. You know, it's a challenge. They've achieved something. It's a daunting task. I'm going to challenge, you know, that this does not fall under the words daunting. Now, function, I could see that. It's underwater. You know, there's some things that I can show you at another time that would make these look more underwater. But, you know, the lighting works for this because it's functional. It shows off the product. You know, it's utilitarian, it's functional. It's not kind of like that all in black and being sexy. This is a functionality. Same with this. How would you, when you say this is a mysterious image, articulate to me what makes this scene, this rendering, mysterious?
Well, because there's like no hand, I was trying to like play off of like a whole story. So because there's no hand, it seems like it's falling and like it's being lost. And the mystery comes in on, because like whenever someone loses something, you know, in general, people like get mysterious. Like it's like a mystery on where this watch is and why is it there. You know,
Yeah.
the whole mystery of it.
So I think you're being a little too existential. No one else is going to read, like that's great in your head, but when other people look at this, they're not going to sit there and say, oh, where's the hand? You know, well, that's strange because they've seen this that much. Now, this is where having those reference images, you know, so let's go images that so yeah, so like here, oh, where did it go? Shoot, I wanted that one image. Like this, where it's kind of fought, like that to me is mystery. Like you don't quite see what it is. You know, who is this? You know, I can't tell. There's fog around it. So maybe if you had added fog to the scene or blurred it a little bit or something, that's going to add mystery. So really, you need to kind of find the words and what the definition of that word is. Does that make sense, Roger?
Yes.
Okay, I mean the renderings are beautiful. And even with the snow, I love it. I would probably use a little bit of depth of field. Like I might rotate it a little bit so that this face is facing a little bit more, and then just get the back of the watch to be a little bit blurred, because right now it looks like it's sitting, like it looks like there's two layers, the watch and then a backdrop. It doesn't necessarily blend in very nicely, and that's fine. That may be the look that you're going for. I'm just wondering, you know, explore it a little bit. So, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I like the black on the top and the black on the bottom. It really just frames things nicely.
Yeah, initially it was supposed to be falling off of it, but then I got feedback from Griffin. He said no. So
Okay, so make sure you get that other work added onto here. Okay, because that's part of the overall grade. And having renderings like these, I would hate for your grade to be low because you don't have the other supporting documentation.
Okay, I have the other one. It just looks bad, so I just put it in there.
You need to have all three. Well, don't forget, today is about feedback. Don't worry about whether it looks bad or not. You get it up there so that you can have comments and challenge. If Griffin didn't like it, that's awesome. If you got proper feedback and he was able to articulate why he didn't like it, doesn't mean you throw it in the trash.
Okay.
So get that third one up there and then get all the supporting images.
Okay.
Zoe, same thing with you. Before we dive into the renderings, what's that?
Zoe left.
Zoe left? Okay.
Put the movie you could say.
And I don't know what my wife just said about Zoe, but she made some smart ass comment about her leaving.
Zoe needs to get points docked.
Oh, my wife says Zoe needs to get points docked. You need your supporting images for each. And my wife says you get points docked because you left without saying goodbye.
Are you really taking points off of her?
What's that? No, I'm not taking points off her. I'm just leaving her a note.
Oh.
Okay. Who's here? Who would like to go next? Oh, back to Goofer. You got new ones up. Okay. Oh, okay. So right off the bat, I like this, Goofer. The only thing I would do is, here's what I would do. I love what you're doing. I love the camera angle. I think your organization of the items are a little bit off. Where in this, I don't understand what I'm looking at with this one. You know, because there is no display on it.
Yeah.
I would have this one in the background and bring this one up to the foreground so that you can see everything.
Okay.
And then what I would do, so that you get the full impact of this image, because if we're looking at this product, this picture here already tells the story that you can interact with a pen. I would lay this pen flat on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So do you see how shuffling that around is going to tell a different story?
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, great balance. Like and here, so this exactly. You know, the pen is there. You know, it shows that the pen is being used. Oh, I see what this is now. This is just one that's turned off.
Yeah.
Got it.
Will that one still work, or should I just use the one that I'm working on right now?
What's that?
Or could I put both in, or should I just?
Do whatever you want. I would also tone down this reflectiveness. And I would actually, what I would do is I would just, so where you have that option under reflectivity on that shader, I would just increase the roughness. And what that's going to do is it's going to give that reflectivity, but it's going to soften it.
Good.
Yeah, no. Now for this one, where is it? For this one, this would be my final submission, to be honest with you. This one is awesome.
Sweet. Yes. Thank you. I really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's fun. It's playful. Yeah. I mean, overall, they're all good. It's just, and everybody's doing an amazing job. It's just getting those refinements. You know, and as I've talked about before, if you feel like I'm being an ass and I'm being nitpicky, that's because you're going in the right direction, and I have to give deeper feelings for it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Laura, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Where are you, Laura? Oh, whoa.
I'm like in the center-ish,
There we go.
if that makes sense.
Well, center-ish would mean about there. So yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. You know, there's a center of a page and you're ish in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. So let's take a look. And you know what? I'm very disappointed with everybody who did speakers, and not a single person did a scene setup like Barrel of Monkeys. Do you guys know what a Barrel of Monkeys is?
I do not.
Silence.
Okay, I don't need the background commentary, sweetie.
Sorry.
My wife's in the background going, silence. Barrel of Monkeys. You used to have to hook them and try to pick up as many as you could, but can't you just see that that would be awesome for the interaction with the headsets? Just saying.
I'm
Okay,
truly disappointed I didn't think of that.
you're too young. Okay, so let's take a look here. Vibrant, vigorous, energetic, and playful. So I'm really liking what you're doing with your renderings. They came out really nice. I would definitely say that these are all kind of coincide with this, and I can see how you pulled from there. I'm going to say the weakest one. So when I say weakest, it's the whole thing. The rendering or the product that reads the best is right here. The lighting in the background, it's too, like, it doesn't seem to go and complement anything. It feels awkward to me. Maybe if it came all the way through to the front, so it looked like it was a bridge that it was sitting above, you know, versus this awkward stop here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if it came all the way like that, there it might be a little bit more dynamic. And then I would also raise this up so you can see it going off into the pinpoint. Then I start feeling like, hey, this is some kind of Led Zeppelin thing, which would be an awesome tie-in. I like what you're doing here because we've got a couple different hints of color in it. I'm going to say the one that I find, you know, that fills in with these words the most is going to be this image right here. Part of that is because I love that this bottom is more of a starburst pattern. We're getting lots of color playing off of the different areas. The lighting is really well, so the product reads very nicely. And like I say, those hints of color really tie it to make it look like it belongs in that environment. You'll see things where people will put it in an environment, but there's no reflectivity. It doesn't read, so it doesn't look like it belongs. It looks like it's a Photoshop old school cut and pasted into a purple background. Anybody else have thoughts on this? Okay. I mean, I think these three renderings are nice, but to achieve what you're trying to achieve with these words, I think that is the one that does it. Okay. Sleek, smooth. So sleek, cold, and clean. So I feel this is a little too literal. I also, yeah, I'm not sure why you changed the texture on there. But again,
it's the same. It's just different lighting.
no.
Oh,
See this? This is the texture. It's been increased massively.
oh yeah, that might have been an accident actually.
No,
I didn't even
yeah.
notice that.
See how it, you can see it's the same. It's just one is like scaled up 100%. So, and that just, yeah. Like this is what I mean by it communicates it, but it feels like the background is a cut and paste. Now, what does work is the color and the lighting, that cool blue lighting, you know, that really reads nicely. It almost feels like it's ice, you know, so that I like. This one, even though this is very abstract, you know, I feel this embodies everything, you know, like this almost feels like it's ice or it's cold. Maybe if you got a little bit of that blue lighting into here, not much, but just a little tad. This
Oh,
one.
sorry to interrupt. Could you mark it like you did on the top one? Oh, no, in the colorful one, you kind of drew through to show me where like the lighting what meant. Can you do the same thing on that one so I can kind of see where you're talking about the blue light hitting?
Oh, I'm gonna say, well, okay. I'm just thinking. I don't know if hitting it with the blue lights is actually going to do. I think hitting it with the blue light is going to detract. So ignore I said that. Because I don't think the blue light works because of the hues in the background here. I don't think the blue light's going to work there. So I would leave this. I would leave this. This one, sleek, cold, and clean. I'm not sure how the water droplets and the feather tie into that versus something like this that is abstract. What were your thoughts there?
When I saw the water droplets on there, I felt like clean, and because of the cold or more grayish colors that read as cold, so putting the water as something pure and clean together with something that's more in the gray blue tones that has that cold feeling to it.
Okay.
Really brought out that to me, but that's why I actually did the other one, was because I started there and felt it wasn't quite capturing it as well, and then I did the more abstract one, which I felt then captured that a little bit better. But yeah, those were my thoughts going into this on my first go at it.
Okay, so this was the evolution. This came second.
Yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent, good. So thank you for explaining that, because I'm glad to see the thought process and the evolution of it. Okay, so I didn't see this one yet. So same thing. Your texture material got scaled up. I'm not. Okay, so this one feels awkward for me because I'm not sure why we have the tiny baby one over here. If we remove that entirely, I think that stands more, but this feels precarious. It is too small in proportion of what it's doing. I'm not sure if it's sitting on it, because it would never be able to sit that way, which is fine when you have, you know, things floating, because there's nothing that it looks like it should be sitting on. wherein the proportions just don't seem to be right. I think, and this blue doesn't seem to go with this, because if we look at comfortable, pure, blue is a comfortable thing, but there's such a stark contrast, where in here, everything is a very monochromatic look and feel, with the white popping. So that's where I think your speakers can pop, but I don't know, it feels busy for me. My suggestion would be to play with the size of the pedestal and also the color on it. That's the one I would suggest. And is this the one that you just did, or the last one you did?
Yes.
Okay, so I think this one needs a little bit more work to play with that. And then don't be afraid, like pull some other reference images, because those are meant to bring inspiration. But do you see what I mean by like it feels awkward on what it's sitting on?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so rotating the product, getting maybe a slightly different camera. I don't mind the camera angle, but I think it just needs to be proportions, and that needs to be played with. And then, go ahead.
Would it make more sense if it was sitting on a square base as opposed to?
I think so. I think it would, but the square would need to be larger. And then, yeah, I feel that so that contrast of the circle, and the square, I think would be much nicer. So if we were to go, obviously we would want the whole thing a little bit smaller. You know, like even this, if this, and even make it so that that's more cut off. And then get this box to emulate and tie in with some of these colors a little bit better. And then I would either leave that so it's sitting like that, because now it looks like it fits, or rotate it so it's lying flat and find that right rotation. That's my initial thought. It's up for you guys to test it, experiment with it, and say, oh, this isn't working, Chevis doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, don't forget so here's a great story. And this is how you should take everything. We had a class project, very important class project. Teacher walked over to one student's project and he said, why don't you try this? Well, come grading time, the student got a C. He complained to the teacher, well, why did I get a C? I did exactly what I told you. And he's like, yeah. Didn't you realize what I told you wasn't working? That's your job, is to take that critique, that feedback, but you should also recognize whether it's working or not. Now, what he should have done is, the student should have gone to the teacher and said, I'm trying what you're suggesting, but maybe I'm not getting it right, or it's just not working. Or it may be one of those things like you come back and you show me and I'm like, yeah, that's not working, is it? I gave you bad direction. So keep in mind, try the things that I suggest, but also still have a critical eye. Does that make sense? Okay. So we've just talked to Laura, we've talked to Goofer, we've talked to Ross.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Could you go back to mine and double check if everything's good? I put like the extra ones in the bottom. But it did roughen out the glare thing, but it doesn't look like it really changed.
try to really increase that roughness. Turn down the reflectivity and increase the roughness.
Oh, how do I know how to, maybe because it's metal. Yeah.
So
Oh, okay. I got it.
you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So I would still say that the relationship of this and this aren't quite right. You know, I would almost challenge, does this need to be in there? How is it helping the story? I don't know. Like here, they read awesome. But it's because I can read what this is. There's a screen. On here, it's not working. And I don't know if that's because the platform is too small. Maybe if you had this lying flat, where'd the other ones go?
Right in the bottom.
Oh, there we go. I mean, I think what works is having this lie flat.
What the?
See, I think these ones work. I think it's just that your colors and all that were too much. Or, you know what? Try mimicking this a little bit more. You know?
So which one?
So, see this one here?
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, have it sitting on a floor. Like, just go with that, you know, black highlight shadow. Because I think this speaks high-end electronics a lot more. Like, I think what's bothering me is this feels like a generic plastic stand that it's sitting on.
Yeah.
And it's distracting for me. So,
Okay.
where everything else you have are these great big bold vibrant, you know, friendly, innovative, future modernistic, even the camera angle, now tone it back, really tone it down and go for subtle.
Okay. So other than that, the other ones look good.
No, yep, coming along really nice, Goofer.
Thank you.
Okay, this was meant to be a short class so that the rest of the class could be a work session. I've kind of covered, oh, okay, so Lance has got some nice stuff, but he's got a same thing. And unfortunately, I'm not going to tell you guys this time. Is Liam here? I thought he was here. No, that was someone else. Okay. Okay, I'll add notes to these. So, yeah. That's kind of what I wanted to achieve for today's class. So if you guys want to keep working, I can stay online and give you guys feedback as you do it. If you want to head out, whatever you guys want to do.
Alright, and then when are these due?
These are all due tomorrow at Wednesday at 11:59 p.m.
Alright, thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Bye.
Hey, Chevin.
Yeah.
I'm working with Ross on his renders here. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw new ones popping up.
Um,
So,
yeah, we're getting it kind of down to the T, adding where the light fixed where he wanted the light in the corner, and then.
oh, sorry, who are you? Oh, Ross. My
Yeah,
apologies.
Ross.
I'm looking at
Right.
Rogers. So first off, hold on, Roger. If you can hear me, Roger, I'm gonna tell you that go and find the reference images first.
Okay.
Okay? Because right now you're just doing what you think. My challenge is going to be: is this what the rest of society feels? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me. Where is
So
Roger?
rotation's on. If you want to get rid of all these, just click the arrow in there. Just click that translate. And now you just click it. Now you have just your rotation, so it's not in your way.
Okay. Am I looking at Roger's screen, or what were you saying?
Ross.
Ross.
But I have my camera on so you can see this stuff.
Okay. And remember, when you want to get something up for feedback, just do a screen grab. Don't worry about rendering it out.
Yeah. People are getting it. We got it. I'm showing them a few tricks to make this life easier.
And as you know, it's all about the tricks, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, renderings can be fun.
Some of these renders are really good, Travis.
I know.
For the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just see a theme, and it's a lot of black backgrounds.
Well, that's because that was one of the things I showed them about. If you're trying to do, sleek and mysterious, that was one of the first things of, hey, here's what's out. And it's almost overused, but if you Google it and you do these things, what comes up? Plus, it was also the easiest way for me to show them how to adjust lights.
Yeah.
And show highlights in the black background.
I think that's good. The good news, we might hire Emma at Intel.
Oh, nice.
She got her first interview, but my boss hasn't really. She's kind of nervous for the solid skills test, and I was like, it's just extrusions, man.
Yeah.
Nothing hard about it.
Nice, awesome. So you guys are growing.
Yeah, we're trying to grow, and we just got a budget. We went through our budget, and we're like, hey, we can actually hire one more person.
Nice.
Our boss's boss, the VP, he's like, I don't want to tell you guys, but yeah, we're able to hire one more person. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And it's a good reflection on you that they're considering another industrial designer.
That is true.
Versus a draftsman or I never know what it's called, but you can go to school for a 2-year mechanical design degree.
That's what, yeah, they have normally some of the designers that we have or had, those guys were like only 2 years in the mechanical design.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine, but it's nice to get that mix of industrial design in there too. So good on you, man.
Yeah, we have Sabrina too, but they do rendering for us at our company. So they're like they're a